For this entry, I am going to teach you how to copy Kenzo's tiger motif sweatshirts. You start off with printing out the template, which I'm going to have a copy of on the blog entry. Just print it out A4 size and trace over it, as I've done here, with some interfacing. This is to make sure, because we're sewing onto jersey, that the fabric's flat, it doesn't stretch, and that affects our stitch. So your first move is to trace this out. So you then want to unpin it from the paper, like so. And then you just want to cut it out around the edge. And then once that's cut out, you need to turn your sweatshirt inside out even. Make sure it's at the front and on the wrong side, and that's where you want to iron on your interfacing. So I'm just going to get a dead center here. Like so. And when you're gluing it down, make sure it's fluffy side up. That's the best way of describing it with interfacing, because that's the right side, and in fabric terms that's basically the side that you want facing upwards. The corresponding side is the slightly sticky, kind of textured one, so you don't want to get that mixed up, otherwise it winds up stuck to your iron. For the next part, you want to mark out your design, exactly where you want each differently coloured thread to go. I've used some fabric markers, but just any normal markers will do. So make sure you know where you're putting everything. And now it's time to set up your sewing machine with your thread, and most importantly with your bobbin. The fact that we're actually using the wrong side as a guide means that it's imperative that you get the bobbin thread the right colour. I mean, obviously it gives a better finish if they match, but the bobbin is the important one here. You also want to set your sewing machine, and most good sewing machines do this, on a narrow zigzag stitch. So that's what I'm going to do now. Simply go along the lines, using them as your guide. You also want your stitches as close together as possible. And go over each area twice, just so that you get good enough coverage. After you have done your zigzag stitching, you should hopefully have something that looks like this. Your next move, I would advise you to just sort of press it flat, because you might get a little bit of fabric puckering, but nothing to worry about. Of course, it would be 10 times worse without the interfacing, so hence why we use it, really. And finally, we're going to use some felt kind of ultramarine, navy, dark blue, you know what I mean, purple and orange, because they're opposite colours and they kind of complement each other, just to fill in some of the spaces like on the original. So, and I'm going to show you how I got the right shapes. I took my initial template, cut out the areas that I wanted to use, bearing in mind which colour I intended them to be. So I'll just show you how to do my tiger eyes, as it were. I'm using a gold gel pen just to sketch, trace out the area. Like so. Then use some small, doesn't have to be fabric scissors because this is felt you're working with, all purpose will do, just as long as they're small, because of the detail that you want to get. Cut them out. And with a bunch I prepared earlier, we're going to use some gemstone glue. That is to say, this stuff, to glue all of our shapes down. Simply glue your pieces in place. And by the time you've stuck all of your felt in place, you should have something that looks like that. If you look closely, you will see that I did the Paris lettering and the logo across it, just like on the original. So it's perfect. It's the perfect time for adding details like that. This has been my tutorial on how to copy the Tiger sweatshirt by Kenzo. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and see you next time.